life for foreigners in uh, that is incredibly small. John, John. Um, my guest has just arrived. What fun! I'll ask him the same question and see what he says. Take a look at the internet.
Hello, Internet.
Just answering a question. I want to get your opinion on it. It'll probably be wildly different from mine, but how would you compare Osaka and Tokyo? What's different?
Well, they stand on the different side of the
Oh, I
escalator.
forgot that. Yeah, yeah.
Huh?
In Tokyo, everybody stands on the left of the escalator, and in Osaka, everybody stands on the right side of the escalator. So every now and then, you'll be like on the escalator, and there'll be some douchebag sitting on the right in front of you. And it's like, oh, come on, Kansai, move to the left.
Oh yeah, and in the U.S. we're standing on both sides.
I think in Nagoya they stand in the middle. I don't know. But no, but like in terms of like a city, do you think there's definitely a different vibe?
Yeah, yeah. People are more outgoing. People are funnier. I guess
Yeah,
they're known for
the
that,
locals
right?
are known for being more open and funny.
Yeah, they're funnier. They're more outgoing. People are friendlier.
Yeah, I think that's a consensus. I was saying, I just said, and I don't know if it's true. I think most of the foreigners I know who come to Tokyo kind of just want to blend in and like keep their head down and just be expected as a member of society. But people who go to Osaka, all the guys I met out there, they kind of like the novelty of being a foreigner.
Yeah.
You know, they enjoy like drunk Japanese people at bars going, "Oh, where are you from?" and stuff like that. But in Tokyo, I think most people just like they just want to like live their life. And Tokyo has so much more international minded like social events and stuff like that. If you live here and it never comes up that you're a gaijin. Whereas in Osaka, there's no bar in Osaka you go to where you're just like. I think it's always
Oh
like,
yeah.
and that's true. It's the size of the city, really. As you get into more Inaka, more countryside places, the fact that you're foreign becomes more and more unique and special, and becomes to define you more compared to like a big city like Tokyo, where it's not necessarily defining. Like you can like hang out in certain neighborhoods and bars where it really never really comes up,
Right.
you know. But if you go to like a small little Nomi or something like that, it comes up.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But if you're hanging out like super deluxe, in Roppongi or Azabu,
Right.
like and like people go like years without ever speaking Japanese in Tokyo.
Oh yeah, that's true. I think outside of the city, you definitely need it more. But isn't it like that in London and Birmingham, for example, in the
Yeah.
UK, London people and the other secondary cities around there, people are different.
And maybe like New York and Cleveland or something.
Yeah, Cleveland.
I don't know. Boston is more fair.
I've never been to Boston.
Osaka's what? 6 million? 5 million? I don't know.
It's
I don't
pretty
know.
big. You got the skyscrapers and
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's Osaka and Tokyo. Right, so I didn't explain very well what we're doing here today. So.
Oh, who is John? I'm a.
Wait, hold on. I gotta. So these are the people in the room, and they ask us questions and stuff here.
Ah.
And that's me, and that's you. And I can record stuff, but I have a limited amount of space to keep. So
All
feel
right.
like if there's a question that comes up that's like
Amen.
you think an interesting point or something like that, it's okay. We could like record it. So
Right.
then people who couldn't make it to the live show can watch it later.
Oh, okay.
But I try to keep it as much as possible focused on the theme for recording, so it doesn't just become like random babbling. But it always does. It's impossible to control.
Nothing wrong with that.
So I guess the big question is, who are you?
Who am I? I'm a complex man living in a complex city.
Complex man in complex city.
Yes, just a man. Been here in Japan for 11 years
Oh
now.
wow, so he's my senpai.
Yeah, I came here in '98. Things were a lot different back then. I worked for an eikaiwa. Surprise, surprise, surprise. Eikaiwa is English school.
Yeah. I worked for Nova when I first got here.
Oh, really?
What'd you do?
Eon.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, for little children, right? As a children's teacher. That's my uniqueness, I guess.
I think that's a very common story for people. Like now we work in other fields, but a lot of people first got over here on English teaching jobs, and then once they got a little bit established, got some language skills, made some contacts in other fields, like moved over into other stuff.
Very true. I think most of the foreigners who come here, it has to do with the language, right? If you can't
Yeah.
speak the language, what can you do? Well, you can
Yeah.
speak English, so it's easy to find a job in that profession.
Exactly.
Is it a profession?
Why'd you come 11 years ago?
Good God. Adventure? Usually, guys usually came here for three reasons, right? Girls, video games, or martial arts.
Yeah.
Girls, video games, martial arts. I came here just because it was someplace different.
Yeah.
Right?
They were just asking me that question. They always ask that question. It's like, look, it's just in LA, and it was like 22. And it's like, yeah, this can't be it. You know, I got to do something before I start to think about like living somewhere permanently.
Right.
But I didn't expect to end up living here permanently.
No.
Like this was like year one on a series of like countries I was going to go to and live in around the world. But I just never bought that ticket. You know, I just stuck in. You know, somehow.
What are we still doing here?
I know, yeah. And I've heard that from so many people. It's like, yeah, I just thought I'd come over for a year, check this country out, it seemed cool. Like a decade later.
There's a small percentage of us that come here on English teaching visas that just stay permanently.
Exactly, yeah. Like, because the average Nova contract is like, well, when it was company, it's gone now. It was like 9 months or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like not even a year. Most teachers that come over don't stay even a full year with the company or in the country. A lot of people leave, but like, yeah, there is this small, definite percentage of us who never leave. And I don't have a good reason why either. I don't know.
Most of the guys, you mean many girls who stay?
No. And frankly, I think it's the relationship issue. I've had a number of women on this show, and a lot of them said like the long-term difficulty for women is finding a successful long-term relationship.
Yes. Yes.
I think it's easier for foreign male Japanese girl relationships than it is for Japanese male foreign Western girl relationships.
Western girls and Japanese guys. Foreign guys, Japanese girls. I don't know. Most of the guys they get hitched, get spousal visas. They don't know what to do. Most of them end up at English schools for the rest of their lives, except for us. Find something different.
But I mean, it is. I think for women, that's why. Anyway, let's get back to you though. So 11 years.
11 years.
Continuously.
One break of 6 months. I traveled. Had to get a new visa, go back to New York, get a new visa, come back to Japan.
So no permanent residency for you?
It's been 5 years now. Actually, to get permanent residency, there's
10 years consecutive.
No, that's not a requirement. You can do 6.
What?
I know a lot of people who do 6.
For citizenship?
It's not citizenship. It's permanent residency.
Citizenship, it doesn't matter how many, but I heard, last I heard, anyway, the minimum was 10 years permanent consecutive residence.
Oh.
To get the permanent residency.
To get permanent residency.
It's all case by case. Everything's done case by case.
It just depends on what your contribution has been to the Japanese culture. If you've been an English teacher and you've been here for 10 years, I guess your contribution is that you paid 10 years of taxes.
Yeah.
Right? And you've taught some people. If you work for, NHK promoting Tokyo, if you have been a lecturer at university, there's 10 or 12 different things.
I mean, technically, it should be easy, for me, like, doing the paperwork, because having the NHK name on there, it's,
give people goosebumps.
Do you always live in the same area in Japan, or have you moved around?
No, I started in Okazaki near Nagoya for a year.
Is that countryside?
Yeah. If you know anything about Japanese history, Tokugawa Ieyasu Tokugawa was kind of the founder. He brought Japan together. That's where he was born. I lived there for a year next to his castle.
Nice.
And it was pretty nice. Then I took a job at the head office, and I don't even know what this means. So I ended up living in about 16 different cities around Japan, doing damage control. When English teachers had done something bad, I would clean up their mess, which is cool because I could travel.
Yeah.
But it wasn't cool because I couldn't make too many friends because you're moving every 3 months. It's rough.
Perennial question, but where and how did you learn Japanese?
Wow. I didn't for the first 5 years, actually. I was one of those guys, you didn't need it. And you're teaching English all the time, so you're speaking English. I guess it was, a single guy in anywhere you go, you want to learn the language to make relationships with people, and I guess it was to find a girlfriend.
Yeah, yeah.
Who didn't want to use me because I could speak English.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I have a policy that I will never date any girl who speaks English well.
It's a good policy,
You know?
actually.
I've broken that rule a couple times. To be fair, there was extenuating circumstances. But essentially, yeah, there's always that fear that, like, are you dating me for the language or the love?
Well, that's always been a question, and very rarely have I met a girl who could speak English who really actually liked me just for me.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're using me.
So if you're doing it all in Japanese, that's kind of a non-issue.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no ulterior motive, or she's not like looking for a visa or anything like that.
I like the girls who aren't interested in English.
Yeah, I know exactly. My favorite type of Japanese women are the ones who just like foreigners.
Yeah.
But make an exception for me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, sure. I guess that was probably the biggest catalyst for learning Japanese was to use it, but it was just studying it. I didn't have time to go to a school, and I didn't have the money to go to a school. It's not like in the U.S. where you have all these classes for free. The free classes had a 6-month waiting list.
Yeah.
Right. So I ended up studying by textbooks, and then going to Mr. Donuts and talking with the old ladies who have lots of time.
I learned how to write hiragana katakana pretty much like in 1 cup of coffee. Mr. Donut.
Yeah.
Mr. Donut has like the bottomless cup of coffee. Actually, no, it was 2. It was like 2 days when I first got here. I literally just spent like 12 hours at Mr. Donut,
right.
Just like writing the hiragana katakana alphabets over and over and over and over and over. Yeah. Like the staff would just like come by and stare at me with this evil look,
Hey,
by like hour 8.
Bottomless cup is a bottomless cup. But yeah, you can do it. Katakana, hiragana took me 2 days to learn both of them.
Yeah.
Because you can apply them everywhere you go.
Maybe not writing, but reading them I could do.
Reading, yeah. Reading is not that hard.
No, I still have problems with some katakana.
Yeah.
Like sushi, soten, and read. Always confuse me.
That was tough. I think speaking, I guess we learned how to speak before we learned how to write.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly, yeah.
So when we speak, we always use the particle wa.
Yeah.
But for the longest time, I was wondering, why was wa is W-A? It's not ha, which is H-A. So I was always making that mistake.
Well, I don't know. I mean, guys who learn language in like our pattern are all the same. Like, we're really good at talking, but as soon as it's on paper, like, we're hopeless. But then there's the people who learned in college, and they're great on paper and in text.
Can't speak at
all.
They
can't speak at all. Yeah.
It's true. Actually, one of the reasons why I came to Japan was a friend of mine, my college roommate. I've known him since, I don't know, elementary school. He came to Japan. He told me, you gotta come to this place. It's really cool. So I came here. He majored in Japanese in college. So his Japanese is really good. But he left, came back, and now he couldn't speak any Japanese. And I ended up being a master of him. But his Japanese now, after looking back on it after 10 years, it's really like textbookish, He can't speak the regular barroom kind of stuff that people actually talk to with one another. That's like with all the languages. Yeah, it is.
Any other interesting facts or information we should know about you, John?
Well, after I finished the Eikaiwa thing, I started a company. I have a business now in Japan, and I make my living producing videos and stuff for Japanese people here. Yeah.
Was that a hard process? I mean, we might have to get to a 10-minute limit for videos.
Oh, really?
We have to get to a whole other video. Like the process of setting up that company.
Yes.
On a scale from 1 to 10, how hard was that?
On 1 to 10, 3. Yeah, it wasn't hard at all. Running the business is hard.
Yeah.
Starting it is easy.
That's good to know, actually. To me, it seems like some partly frightening thing.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to throw it out for questions for people.
All right.
So,
I guess I do some TokyoCooney.
Yeah. That's, I guess, that's how we met.
Yeah, the party, right? The Christmas party.
Yeah, we had a Christmas party for a TV show, but I think this last video was the first time we worked together.
Wow, Jesse James has a good question. How did you get from where you are now professionally?
That's a good question. I sometimes try to retrace my steps. Like, how the hell did I end up from there to here?
You know what? I think that you just have to do something. And whenever you do, if you've ever read the book The Alchemist, you kind of get an idea, right? You have to do something in order to find the next thing to do. And just if you think about it, you'll never do anything. You just do something. Like, come on, come to name it. And then something else will happen, and then something else happens, and then bam, you're...
It's funny. It's almost exactly the same as the way I always explain it, but I use a different analogy. I always think of it as like crossing a river, and there's like I'm on the shore of the river from where I started when I arrived in the country, and just a little bit out into the water, I could see this one stone. I was like, well, I can get to that stone, so I jumped to the stone, and then I was like, okay, I'm in the river now, and ahead I could see another stone. And I'm like, well, I gotta get to that one. And like by the time I realized it, I was like halfway across the river.
Right,
Right.
right.
And I just looked around like, oh shit. Like, yeah, well, I'm here,
You're already here.
But it was just a series of small jumps, from one thing to the next thing. But like I couldn't see two stones later. I never knew if there was another one later on. I just knew there was one right in front of me.
Leap of faith, my friends. Leap of faith.
That's true too. Yeah. I think that's probably one of the things that prevents most people from coming here at all.
Right.
Is largely unfounded fears.
That's right. Yeah, I think.
Almost all the questions I get from people on the internet are the question is essentially them wanting me to allay their fears about something.
Right.
Like, are Japanese people racist towards foreigners? Will I be able to get a job there?
Right.
Like, can you live on the amount of money you get? Like, all the things that they worry about.
Yeah.
Is the source of almost every question I get.
You never know unless you try, and you just got to make that jump into the big pond and start swimming. Right? Mm. What is that? The metaphor? You're a mouse in milk creates cheese or something. What is it called? Right?
Never heard that. But
the mouse goes into milk, and the mouse that keeps on going, he eventually makes cheese and then can stand on top of it.
Yeah.
I don't know how it goes. You all know?
That's funny.
Yeah.
Never heard that before.
Yeah. It's good.
It is, but I mean, it starts with like you have to do something. Like for myself, I can just give an easy example. Like I was just talking about them before. I write the Negi in Metropolis.
Yeah.
I write that, but like I think I started doing it back when I was still teaching, just as a hobby. I was printing it myself and like hanging it up in the bathrooms of like gaijin bars in Tokyo, and not getting money for it. I was like losing money, to print it and put it up. And then like one day I got an email from someone who saw it. It was like, hey, this is pretty funny. We'd like to put this in the magazine. But it started with just doing something with no expectation of financial gain necessarily,
right?
Or even necessarily knowing where it was going to lead to a job and such.
Right.
But like that then spawned off with any other opportunities.
And I think for all of you, one of the things that I've discovered is that most of the people who are in jobs that they don't like, especially the salaryman in Japan, are there out of fear.
Yeah.
The fear of wanting to take a chance and doing what they really dream to do. And I think it's not just in Japan, actually, it's everywhere. But if you can break that fear, you can find... Well, you don't know what you will find. Maybe you'll end up on the streets. But if you really, really want to do what you want to do, you have to take that chance.
I've met a homeless guy. He's like, there but for the grace of God go I.
We still might be there too.
I know.
That's like, out of the question.
That's scary. Like, either of us is probably what? I mean, they say like 3 paychecks away. No, I'm a paycheck away from being homeless. But,
I don't know how I made it this far sometimes.
Yeah, it's amazing. It is. But now we're starting to sound like a motivational video. It's getting lame. Any other like practical questions or anything like that?
Yeah.
It's because the question is so like ephemeral.
Yeah. I like the questions about Chris Pepler, the metrosexual guy. I don't know about that.
I didn't see. Maybe it's coming out this Sunday. I want to see. He did an episode where he was the whole episode and he showed people around. I gotta see that.
Yeah, Chris Pepler is a okay.
Hey.
Wait a minute, we work together.
Hey, we work together.
Yeah.
Don't say that.
Yeah. Yeah, off camera. Okay. Well, you have a question, but you doubt I can answer it about Japan. That sounds dangerous. I'm happy.
Go on, Arsoc. Go for it. I bet Arsoc.
What's the alternative? Not happy?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I see a lot of those bastards.
Yeah.
Like I was reading on Japan Probe, the stuff about the Halloween thing, and there's all these people commenting, and it's the same, like, trolly, dark people who've lived here for like 10 years.
Yeah.
And they're just so full of bitterness
Yes.
about Japan, about Japanese people,
Yes.
and just vile, and just, it's sickening to read the comments.
It is.
And they live here too, and they're completely unhappy. But they're like in a loveless marriage, or they're stuck in their job, or they think they have no other options.
Preach on, brother Kevin, because that is true. I think to live in Japan for the last 11 years, you need a sense of humor.
Yeah.
Big time.
Big one, yeah.
Because if you take all this seriously, you'll never survive.
You'll drive yourself nuts.
You will.
You know, yeah.
You will.
And then you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Like this guy I knew, he lived with for like 6 months before he literally, like when he was already mentally unstable when he arrived. When he literally went off the deep end while I was living with them, and like assaulted some construction workers who were working on our building. And Nova moved into a single apartment to get him away from us. He threatened to kill me once. And like I remember he walks into the room one day, it's like his second or third day. He's like, "Why does everyone on the train stare at me like I have some huge black penis I'm going to rape them with?" I was like, "Whoa, dude! They're looking at you because there's not a lot of foreigners around. They're just curious." But like, he just like took it so seriously and took it so to heart that it's like it was driving him nuts. He just couldn't handle it, couldn't laugh about it. Unfortunately, I can't answer Northstar's question. Why do some people stand on the wrong side of the escalator? I don't know the answer to that.
I think, well, you know, it would be like a long history lesson, but Osaka always wanted to be different from Tokyo. And I think they used to be the capital of Japan like eons ago.
Yeah.
They still resent or harbor this resentment towards Tokyo. Osaka people.
Kansai.
Yes, you were right. Kyoto is partially involved. They harbor resentment towards Tokyo. Osaka people don't like to come here unless it's because of work.
Yeah. And then when they come here, like if you talk to anyone, like the guy I'm working with, one guy I'm working with now is from Osaka. He just moved about 7 months ago.
Yes.
And it's like anytime I get him outside the office to get drinking him, he's just like full with like, "Oh, Tokyo is so disgusting, and you know I want to go home."
Yeah. Yeah. I think that also, I think just going back one more point, I think Tokyo is like, like a melting pot of Japan? Osaka people are Osaka people. They're very homogeneous in that way.
It's similar to New York in that everyone who comes to Tokyo thinks, "Oh, I'm in Tokyo now. I have to pretend like that I am a Tokyoite."
Yeah.
And so everybody is not from here. They're just pretending to be what they think a Tokyo person is.
Right.
But people actually born and like generationally from this area are incredibly friendly and kind, like the Shitamachi types.
Yeah.
Like the downtowns. Like the really actually, they call them Edoko, meaning child of Tokyo. Like those people are actually incredibly kind and friendly and warm.
Yeah.
It's all the people from like the neighboring areas that have moved here, and they have this like mental image of what a Tokyo person is supposed to be like. Think of New York, like people from Ohio move to New York City, and suddenly they become an asshole because they think that like, "Oh yeah, well when you live in New York, you're supposed to be an asshole." But it's like, no, that's not actually the rule. But that's just their image of what they're supposed to be like in New York, cold and like
heartless, tough.
Exactly.
Tough,
but like
but
you go to Brooklyn or Queens, and that's not how people are.
No.
People are incredibly friendly.
No, the dancing in the streets.
They're asking about your accent. Where are you from?
Oh man, well, born in D.C., grew up in New Jersey, New York, went to school in Ohio. I've traveled for 4 years backpacking around the world, talking with international people. My accent, this is global, baby.
Yeah.
It's just neutral. I guess it's more close to Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, Buckeyes.
I intentionally trained out my Long Island accent during university.
Oh.
It comes back if I drink. But I've been picking up vocabulary over the last 8 years. You do. It's like, I mean, I lived with New Zealanders for like 3 years. Like, you just start seeping into your, like,
That's true.
expressions.
I guess when you live outside of the U.S., you meet so many international people. You start picking up, like, the loo. Where's the loo? I go back home to New York. I start asking, where's the loo? People are looking at me funny. So yeah, I think you pick up a lot of people living in Japan, not just from the Japanese, but from the other international people around here. It's crazy. Love it.
I do too. It's funny, like definitely my first year or two, I had more friends who were Canadian than Japanese. In a kind of odd turn of events. Like, I mean, New York is right next to Canada, but I never really talked to a Canadian in my life. But here in Tokyo, I ended up like working with or living around lots of people from Canada. And suddenly, like, I was out drinking every night with guys from Canada, or Australia, or New Zealand, or the UK, South Africa, France, Italy, Germany. Um, so actually, like first year here, more than anything, I was hanging out with like people from around the globe.
Yes.
And then a small number of Japanese friends. But like by far, like 80-90% of my friends were from all around the world.
Right. Especially New Zealand. And what overwhelms me is, well, we have how many people in the U.S.? 300 million, about 270 million. New Zealand has like 2 million people.
Yet I know
half
like
the countries in Japan.
I know so many New Zealanders. And Canadians too. I don't know why, but I've met so many Canadians while I'm living.
Australians, 22 million. New Zealand, my numbers might be wrong. New Zealand, 2 million. Canada, how many? 30 million?
Yeah, like probably that. 36.
Right. And US, 300 million, and there's so few of us.
Yeah. Actually, Metropolis Magazine just had they did their yearly, magazine questionnaire, and it was like the readership, like who reads the magazine, and it was like 90% had an undergraduate or graduate degree. I think probably like 2/3 were white, and male.
You can tell the Canadians, they got like a flag on their back.
Yeah, and it's like and by country, like North America was the largest group.
Yeah.
And then I guess others. But because like there's certain little pockets inside Japan's society in which that community exists. So an inordinate number of them. They're not spread out equally over Tokyo. It's like they're all in Minato-ku and Shibuya. They're at Hiro.
Small area of Tokyo.
Yeah, like they're because they live near international schools, so their kids can go to school. They like it's like a ghetto in a way. No, not in a way. It's the exact dictionary definition of a ghetto.
Right.
So as a result, like you rent in a building where the building owner is okay with gaijin.
Right.
And everybody else in the building is a gaijin.
Yes.
And so you end up like talking to guys from Namibia.
Yes.
More often than you talk to Japanese people.
Yes, that is very, very true. And I get it. It's really easy to get stuck in the foreign community and not get out and see what's really out there.
And that's just with language. If your language still grows, then you branch out. But I think
out.
Especially in the early years here when I had no Japanese skills.
But I mean, have you ever? There's also the other kind, which maybe I turned into for like a month, which is the foreigner who will not talk to other foreigners.
Oh, I hate
because
that.
You know that type?
Yeah.
They won't speak in English. They want total immersion. So any foreigner, hey, you seem like a foreigner. Could you tell me how to get to the local 70? They won't tell you because they want to only be in Japanese.
And they look at you like, get out of my Commodore Perry dream, bastard. This is my Japan.
Right. Like,
it's so irritating. There's so many people here who walk around with like, this is my Japan. Like,
that's the problem, right?
So irritating.
That's the problem because I just forgot my point.
Those people suck. Those people suck.
Those people suck.
And like, there's like, do you do the nod?
The nod?
The gaijin nod.
What's your nod?
Like when you're passing another gaijin on the street, you
you
do like a little eye contact, a little nod.
The Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah, exactly. Like
nod.
But it's like for I don't know the number. Maybe half of us do the nod, half of us don't.
I do the nod.
I do the nod.
Especially on the subway.
How are they on the subway? How are they? Like, but the other camp who doesn't do the nod, they think like, why should I recognize you just because you're also a foreigner? We're just Tokyoites. And I understand their like point. Well, don't be a dick. Come on, just do the nod. Take a second.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not, you're part of a community. You're part of a foreign community.
And the foreign community actually in Japan is very, very important because together, in my business, professionally now, going back professionally, a lot of my success has been from other foreigners that have established themselves in Japan, who I've reached out to, brought me in, and then elevated me where I can also help other people, other foreigners who are coming into the system.
Absolutely.
And that is vital to anybody starting a business in Japan. You have to reach out to the foreign community who's already been here.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. I mean, like all the work I have is directly the result of connections and contacts I made with other
Yes.
foreigners who've come here before me.
Yes.
And I,
Absolutely. Do the nod. Okay. All right. If we're on the subway, how do we do the nod?
the nod, what you're saying with the nod is, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
That's what it means. Yeah,
I'm there
I know.
too.
I know.
We're here. We're doing it.
One of my favorite moments ever. I think I told this on this show before, but this guy Bart from Edmonton, Canada, came to my Eikaiwa the first year I was here. I'd been here like 6 months, so I took him out to lunch to show him around. And we're walking down the street, Suidobashi, and he's walking along. He's like, "Hey,
Yeah.
how you doing? Hey there." Like every person that passes on the street, every Japanese person's like, "Hey, hi," like And then we get like like $5. He's like, "What the hell? Nobody even looks at you. Nobody says hello." I'm like, "Dude, there's like 15 million people in this town. It's not possible to nod to everyone you pass on the sidewalk."
No. But
But it's like that was so cute because like in Edmonton, when he walks down the street, he says hello to everyone he passes.
well,
on the
he's
street.
one of those guys.
Yeah, because like that's what it's like in his hometown.
But in Japan, I guess it's the one thing that binds us is that we don't look like the people here. We're of different blood, and I think that binds us, right?
Yeah, there is that.
Just like the people who are Japanese are binded by their blood.
But there's this.
But
I'm sure there's similar terminology in other immigrant groups and other races and things like that. But there's this selection of the community that are sellouts, like kind of like Uncle Tom.
sellouts.
I guess the best thing is he's called like Uncle Tom, like where they think by criticizing and shitting on all the other foreigners, they are then positioning themselves with the Japanese, and it includes them in the Japanese whole. So they kind of deny the rest of the community in an effort to endear themselves to.
I know the type. They're always in the movies about Japanese. The Rising Sun, there was one doofus who thought he was Japanese, the white guy who sold out to the other side. But the thing is, you'll never really be accepted 100%.
Exactly.
And the more you try to stay yourself, the more people will accept you for that. I think, because nobody trusts a weasel.
Yeah. Because it just seems like, and I've had Japanese people tell me, it's like, like that guy, he just seems creepy. Because he's trying to be Japanese or something.
Yes.
Actually, and I coined a phrase we're talking about gonads. Gaijin of non-Asian descent.
Oh, that's a good one.
Because whenever somebody says gaijin, I think what they mean is white people and black people.
Yes.
But it's like, no. Gaijin means all foreigners, including Asians.
Especially,
80% of foreigners in Tokyo are Chinese, Korean, and Filipino.
Right.
Like, a much smaller percentage of that is Caucasian and African.
Right.
So I think we needed a term specifically for just the Caucasian and African foreigners within that large community.
Mm.
So I'm using the word gonad.
It's good, but I think my mom's from India, which gives me this 24, 365 day a year tan, which is kind of good in the U.S. But with the growing population of Indians in Tokyo, actually, they're taking over the IT here. You can smell us on the trains these days. Okay, you can smell us. It smells like a Bombay commuter train sometimes. And people looking at me, it's not me. I do deodorize.
But it's kind of I think it's in all immigrant societies. Some of the immigrants want to be like, I'm not with them. They don't represent me.
Right.
And it's like I understand the desire to do that, but it's kind of shitty.
Yeah. It's
You can't sell out your brothers totally.
Yeah, there was a question. I think that somebody asked, "What's been your most difficult thing here in Japan?" I guess being a non-white foreigner is also kind of a tough. I don't know.
I think we have it easier than Asian foreigners.
You would think. Actually, I think as a foreigner, there are more opportunities, especially in my field, because sometimes I do acting and stuff for the white guy. I had an audition for a university position where maybe there's like a non-disclosure clause. I don't care. They didn't give me the part. So screw 'em. So that's the part where I had to read this unknown professor had a dissertation and he wanted to promote it in the U.S. using an English speaker. Got my glasses on, looked very professional. In fact, Indians are very good. Most of the doctors in the U.S. Plenty of them are Indians, right? The people are like us. So I didn't use the Indian accent, but I gave
You can
the
do it without seeming
I could do it
racist. That's
without the
awesome.
yeah. It was very good, and they gave it to this other guy who's some white guy. I watched him. He was not nearly as good as my performance, but I have to think like that to keep the edge.
Yeah, I mean, and sometimes you do have to like be constantly aware of your risk. Actually, I said something. I just posted the video last night. And hey, Tom X, welcome to the show.
Yeah.
Uh, I said this in my video yesterday, and I've been waiting for like the outcry in the comment section, but nobody said anything. So I'm like, all right, wow, I guess people generally agree. But I was talking about like non-Toka Americans. Like I'm Irish American, I'm Italian American, I'm Greek American, and it's like having lived abroad for a long time now. On behalf of the rest of the world, let me say, you're American.
Yes.
Full stop, end sentence.
Your passport says American.
Exactly. But it's like, because I've met so many Irish people, it's like, yeah, actually, I'm Irish too. And they're like, really? You don't sound Irish? I'm like, no, my grandma's like, you're not Irish.
Yes.
You're American, you know? And
Yes.
like, ideas of nationality and ethnicity in America are often separated. That like your ethnicity and your nationality have absolutely no relation whatsoever.
Right.
Is the American way of thinking. But that's not the case in most other countries.
No.
Like Irish people,
Absolutely not.
like think of themselves like the native people of the island as being the
Yes.
true Irish.
Yes.
So if you move to Ireland, same as in Japan, if you look somewhat different,
Yeah.
you will never be Irish.
No.
You know, you will never. There's not like someday when you're like, well, okay, he's a black Irish. You know, it does happen. It does happen to some degree.
Right. You bring out the
And
mannerisms.
I'm using Ireland as an example only so as I'm not using Japan as an example.
Right.
You know, it's the same thing in Japan and in many countries. You know.
Oh yeah. I remember the first time I traveled abroad, went to France, and this might be kind of blunt, but I saw a black guy from on the streets. He was from. To me, I'd never heard of a black guy speaking French. Okay.
Yeah, they're like North Africans still.
Yeah, and just like I never heard an Indian guy speaking French, so I said, so you must be, African French, He said, no, I'm French. And it struck me. He says, okay, all right, but my image of the French people they were the white people wearing berets, drinking wine, the artsy people. But
And I think that's France's image of itself too. I mean, if you look at like the riots that were happening because of all the immigrants who can't find work, despite being French.
right,
Like when they go in for the job interview, all of that egalitarian like goes out the window, and the interviewer looks across the table and sees a brown dude. They're like, "Well, thanks for coming in. Nice to meet you."
I think before I think we started traveling, at least I did. I can speak for me. That's how I really didn't know anything about the outside world. It was when I first saw that. I said, we separate ourselves into groups in the U.S. maybe because we have.
Yeah. Actually, I want to ask you a question on that. What the hell were we talking about? What title? I don't know what I titled it. I always show these videos. I get to the end of it like, what the hell were we talking about?
Oh my God.
What would I possibly title this?
Anybody out there want to keep us straight? What were we talking about?
Random. Just a random blabbering.
Actually, all the blabbering, all the people in the cafe are checking us out.
Oh, the tickets actually were so hot. So sexy. But actually, this is a point I want to bring out. I want to record this. I love this topic. I can't remember what it was. Yes. No. All right. Never mind. I had a really awesome thing I wanted to talk about. Now I just totally forgot what it was.
Oh wow.
Huh.
This is one of those moments, people.
There's something about class and
Something about race. There was something about race. We had a race thing, but was the race thing?
Traveling.
Race was the tangent when we got off on traveling.
That's what it is. One of the things I used to think was cool until I actually travel was the phrase, "I'm a traveler, not a tourist." I think when I was 18, I would have said something like that. Yes, no, I'm a traveler, not a tourist. But like having lived in a foreign country for a long time, nothing pisses me off more than people who say shit like, "I'm a traveler, not a tourist." And there are these people who somehow think that they were like born, like programmed into their DNA with this understanding of countries they have never been to, and like foreign peoples they've never met,
Yeah.
And it's like it's a really refreshing thing to hear, like you say, someone who's traveled extensively and lived abroad for a long time, actually say, before I actually did it, I knew nothing about foreign countries. Because in my travels, I've always met these people who, it's kind of an arrogance, um, assume they know everything before they've even like had any experience in the place whatsoever, and they have this like, oh, I'll just find my way kind of thing. And I see these people flounder for years here and never really find their groove or make friends or build a life because they're too arrogant to admit that they need to learn something from the place they're in, rather than just come to it and observe it and understand it.
Yeah, and I think that might be also the defense mechanism against the fear of being in a new place.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it might be that. Again, like if you haven't traveled and you get out there and travel. I'm totally lost on the topic now.
Yeah. But like for me, it's like I just want to say to all those people, look, you're not a traveler. You are a tourist. Deal with it. Being a tourist is not a bad thing. I wish more Americans would be tourists. Go out and see the world. Being a bad tourist is bad. Like being a shitty tourist is bad. But there's nothing wrong with being a tourist. But this weird complex people have that like if I take a photo, I'm somehow less cool.
I think maybe for me, I think it was being associated with the grandma and grandpa on the bus tour with the lady with the flag carrying around, or the person who's the rugged individualist who's going to go out and see all these things on their own and do it themselves.
They get lost and have no idea what they're doing. And
tourists.
I mean, it's like that's why it's like so many times there are meals like, I don't want to take the Hanto bus tour of Tokyo. Why not? Take it. Suck it up. Take the bus tour.
I think that was a Tokyo
It'll give you a good layout of the city. You'll know something actually, rather than just walking around staring into a book and bumping into people.
And that goes back to what we said about taking a chance, because you might meet somebody on that bus who's going to.
And it's the same. So many times I've seen like a totally lost tourist, and I said like, hey, do you need help? You know where you're going? Like, no, I'm fine. I was like, all right, though. Sure, okay.
Yeah.
But it's just like inability to admit like
you don't know anything.
Needing help. You
need help. I need help. Professional help.
Like if I went to China, I would be starting from zero, basically. I would know nothing. And I would what I would do is like on the line in the airport, I would look for another like gonad and be like, hey, dude, do you live here?
Right, yeah.
Like,
where should I go? A Chinese Westerner who doesn't even want to speak to you because you're speaking English.
Like I look for help whenever I'm traveling.
Damn that.
But like so many people like refuse to look for help or accept help when they're traveling, and as a net result, they end up having a less enjoyable time. They miss out on great opportunities they could have had.
Traveling, that's really good. Yeah, you miss out a lot, and I think it's a human interaction, the communication with other travelers. If you follow, a lot of the travelers will call the Lonely Planet. Everybody knows the Lonely Planet. Yeah. They call it the Bible. Let me tell you something. Lonely Planet is not the Bible. You go to those hotels at the Lonely Planet, I'm doing this again. You're going to end up meeting all the other people from the Lonely Planet. You talk with the gonads, you're going to find something. Talk to your gonads.
There was like a 2-month period where, I don't remember how I met them. I think it was just randomly in a bar. There was this group of like backpackers staying at the Sakura House Hotel in Ikebukuro. And I used to hang out in the hub every now and then. So I met this group and they're like, they kind of like glommed on to me. And they got my cell phone number. And they're like, hey, so like, we're going to have tomorrow night. Can you show us like some restaurants? I was like, yeah, all right. But it was like a 2-week period where like the members like changed like 4 or 5 times, like where people would leave and new people would join the group, and I was running like this small community of backpackers. Because basically all the backpackers would meet in the hotel lobby. Like, what are we gonna do? And then like one was like, hey, I met this guy. He took us out to this restaurant. It was really cool. Let's give him a call. Then I get a call from someone I didn't know. Like, hey, are you that guy? Two people around to the restaurant. Like, yeah. Like, I was wondering if you could show us some places today. And then after about 2 weeks, I finally just like it died out of its own. But it was just funny because like everyone would just gather in the lobby and swap information about where to go and what to do, and nobody knew what to do.
Right.
Everyone had the same book.
Everyone's going to the same places, but I think foreigners coming to Japan, especially, and every person who travels, I'm always kind of shy to go into local places.
Yeah, me too.
You go to places that are in the guidebook. So meeting people like you or me, if you're a traveler, we'll take you to some places where nobody else. These people come up right off the boat. They don't know what.
And also, all guidebooks like Lonely Planet are written for a general audience. So they don't take into account like what a 22-year-old might want, as opposed to like a 52-year-old. Although Lonely Planet is designed for a younger audience.
Yeah.
But generally speaking,
Yeah.
they don't always recommend things that would be ideal for you.
No. No.
Anyway,
No. Anyways.
all right, enough ranting about tourism.
Enough tourism. Yeah. Although I get stopped when I was in the Tokyo Eye. Remember, I was late.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I got stopped
Oh,
because I looked like a terrorist.
That's a hilarious story.
Yeah, I got stopped on the train. Actually,
Hold on a second.
I get stopped on the train
That work.
being a terrorist. It's a true story. Seems surreal.
And I think it's also the key to this story, however, is, as you said before, you have to keep a sense of humor,
Yes.
or you will go nuts. But you have to tell the
Terrorists have
story.
no sense of
This is
humor.
like we were filming in Akihabara, and he was like,
They don't.
20 minutes late, I guess.
Yeah, it was
Because
about
he ran into
25
some
minutes.
he ran into some trouble on the train.
Okay, I'll start it. I'll be brief. I get on the train. I'm running because I had to make a train. I was sweaty. I got on. I was looking around, panicking, looking for a place to sit down. I had a backpack on my back, and I looked. I guess because I was sweaty and looking around, two old people got nervous. They had heard an announcement on the train saying report all suspicious people in Japanese to the station master. So they got off a couple of stations, and I didn't sit down because I didn't want to. I was sweaty. I stayed standing up. There are lots of seats. So they told the station manager, there's a suspicious guy on the train, and maybe you should check it out. One stop before I got off the train, they stopped the train. The station manager was walking through the train, found me, and got me off the train. Then the police came, and I can speak a little Japanese, and I'm laughing about it, playing it down. And the police came, I was serious, and said, look, I don't know what you think, search my bag and everything. Yeah, I had to have a sense of humor. I could have been really, what's the word, pugnacious about it, but...
Like, in the moment, though, I totally know you're feeling, you're livid. You're just so angry.
Oh, yeah.
And you're just,
Inside.
like clutching on to, to hold on and not say something stupid and become a suspicious person, Because I have a hard time controlling my mouth. And so I occasionally said I've occasionally said shit where I was like, oh, God, don't, no, Kevin, don't say anything. Just shut up. Shut up. Show them the card. Show them the card and let them know, and occasionally, I remember one time I got stopped on the street Shibuya, and I had sunglasses on and I was carrying a chuhai. And they stopped me. I'm like, what are you stopping me? What am I doing? He's like, well, the guy actually said you're wearing sunglasses, and you're carrying a chuhai. And I kind of just went off, and I went off on them. And I read it, so are you training this younger one? Is that what you're doing now? Am I a training session for you? And then I went over, it was right by Shibuya Crossing, and I went over and I got the police. I was like, here, come with me. I want to show you something. You see that guy? He's stopping women to try and get them to work in prostitution places.
There's a guy in there.
The actual,
Speaking of training sessions, if you come in through Nagoya Airport, that's when all the immigration officers train at Nagoya Airport. So if you come in there, you'll definitely get stopped.
Yeah.
So anybody trafficking, I highly recommend going through Hiroshima or Tokyo, because that's where the newbies go. Yeah.
But so the police officer though, I just told them hey, look at that guy. He's working for possibly the Yakuza, most likely. He's collecting, getting women to work in hostess bars and eventually prostitution, and probably, he's connected to the drug trade as well, amphetamines. Don't you think maybe you should go check his bag? And the police are like, we have to go.
Well, those are the dangerous.
I'm like, no, I want you to go and shake down that guy.
There was a 60-minute special on the Yakuza in the U.S., right?
Yeah.
Those are the guys that should be checked out.
But it was just so hilarious because anybody, and I lived in Shibuya for years. Everybody knows who's doing illegal things. It's obvious. Like that guy over there is selling amphetamines. Anyone who lives in this neighborhood knows that.
Yeah.
Go shake him down.
Absolutely.
And it's literally 100 yards away. And that was the most infuriating thing about it. And I was trying to convince the police officers to go over there and do their job. But they didn't want to actually do their job. They just wanted to practice for the younger guy, the younger cop, what it's like to shake down a foreigner.
Yeah, I think that this is where I think you can take a lesson from the Japanese here. People here are two-faced, and it's not a bad thing in Japanese culture. I think you need to have a body armor, and you do it through the way you show yourself. And in this case, I was feeling, there was somebody made a comment on this, yeah, you'd be in protest, so was I. I was feeling rage inside. But yeah, I took a lesson here. By doing that, you're just going to make things worse.
Yeah.
So you put up another face
Yeah.
of humor, and I'll put it off. The police also are maybe confused, but they're also smiling. Smiling in Japan is a way to express confusion. Not you know that, right? Yeah, they smile like this. They're not really happy. They're just confused, and by smiling, it's a way to mask their confusion. So
not every smile.
not every, but in general,
that's kind of true.
Generally speaking, right?
Someone just asked, have you ever left your gaijin card at home and got stopped?
Yeah.
Really?
I did.
I never did that.
Couldn't find it because I was drunk the night before, and I'd thrown it on the windowsill. It was behind the curtain. 2 police officers took me to my house, and I couldn't find my passport either. Right?
Man.
So they waited outside my house for 45 minutes while I tore the place apart. They're hearing all these sounds of being things ripped up. Finally found it, and they left. It was after Nova fell, and they were getting rid of all the English teachers after one of the big Eikawa schools failed in Japan. I got picked up another car. It's rough.
Yeah, somebody was telling me a story that he was living in like a gaijin house or something like that, and the police came to his house at like 6:30 in the morning. There's like a doorbell ring. He goes, and there's like a plainclothes officer. Wow. And then a few feet back, there's like uniform officers. What they were doing was they were going to places where foreigners live and waking up at like 6:30 in the morning. Wow. Because like maybe the person who lives in the house is a legal resident, comes to the door. But they have 3 cousins from Western China sleeping on cots in the back room. Yeah. And they're trying to catch them before, as they were just waking up. I was like, a cop comes to my house at 6:30 in the morning and wakes my ass up. I am going to be none too pleased.
Yeah, and I think in Japan maybe, what do you think about that? In the U.S. we're innocent until proven guilty. I think in Japan sometimes, when you're accused of something, you have to prove that you're innocent.
Pretty much, yeah.
And kind of
the legal system here is kind of fucked up.
Yeah, I mean every legal system is imperfect.
But the appeals rate, in appeals, 98% of appeals agree with the previous judge.
Yeah.
Because essentially, no judge, just because of Japanese culture, will ever say that the previous judge made a mistake in his job. Because that would be so embarrassing to the previous judge. So only in the most extreme of circumstances, where literally another murderer has come forward, does the appeal ever exonerate anybody?
Unless
the appeal is meaningless.
Unless of course you have information that would embarrass that judge.
Yeah.
So it's a case of embarrassment, really.
Yeah, but it's they won't ever do that.
Yeah.
It's even in hospitals, getting referrals is sometimes very difficult here.
Yeah.
Because the referral, the other doctor will just say whatever the previous doctor said.
Yeah.
Because doctors and judges,
second opinion, I don't think so.
They just look out for each other by what he said. Yeah, that guy, what he said, that's exactly right. Because they don't want to they don't want to start a trend where they're second guessing each other.
Yeah.
But in the States, people do it all the time.
Yeah, well, that's the yes men mentality, right? We don't really argue or disagree with other people, and I guess, yeah, that leads to a lot of problems, but also simplifies a lot of things too, generally speaking. Yeah. There's a lot of general speaking here.
And with the two-face thing, and I've read this in so many comments and seen blogs, where people say Japanese people are liars. Foreigners say it, they're liars, and they're not. They're not. It's just I think it's difficult for foreigners to understand how the society works, and it does work. It works very successfully in that people don't say what they're really thinking in order to maintain a balance. They maintain an equilibrium of balance, and they don't cause an argument or destruction or a fight. They simply just lie.
Right.
Technically, but it actually allows a society to function very, very smoothly. But Americans are used to immediately saying exactly what they think or feel, and having a contrary opinion, and arguing about it, and then resolving the issue. But Japanese resolve the issue by not having the argument,
avoiding confrontation.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah, and usually, you've been here as long. I know when people are lying. I smell it.
Oh yeah.
You can smell the lie, right?
You get to know it.
Yeah. It's an instinct, and I think that that's a key part of the culture.
Yeah.
Instincts, something you're not taught in any university.
But I totally understand. From an American point of view, it is lying. But from a Japanese point of view, it's not. It's the social order.
Yeah. It is the social order.
Like you're required in certain situations to maybe not express your true feelings
Yeah,
for the sake of harmony.
yeah. And it works. And a lot of foreigners come to Japan. They want to change that, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the thing is, this is the thing, right? If you were to unbalance the harmony of the things, the way things are,
You get fired from your job. Your
First of
girlfriend
all,
breaks up with you. You're
right.
like, in any situation, it's gonna have negative consequences for you.
I hear that all the
Japan's
time.
not gonna
Right?
suddenly be like, oh my God, you're right. We've been doing it wrong for 2,000 years. We should think more like you, like Enlightenment period Westerners.
Right. And I think that with been being here so long for the last 10 years, I've seen it kind of balancing out.
Yeah.
More, especially in Tokyo, the culture is a little bit balancing out to the foreign way of thinking. Not totally, but a little piece of that has caught on.
Yeah.
So I know people will say that's a good thing. Foreigners, I know foreigners that say it's a bad thing because by unstabling the harmony, I think it unsettles the way things work here. It causes more friction with the people. I mean, Japan right now, I love it because it's one of the least violent countries in the world. There's so many good things. Things actually work. Things get done. Some things get done more quickly. Other things get done. But that's the system, right? So.
This is it's a little. Sorry,
Where are we at?
We gotta answer more questions. But
Okay.
one more thing. There's one of these like really sad moments when I got an email from this guy who was really into Japan. He lives in another country. It's like a teenager, like 14 or 15, and he's telling me how much he wants to go to like Japan and live there. And I try to cut down on the amount of conversations I have with 15-year-old Naruto fans. But I was like, well, so why is it so important for you to live in Japan? He said, in the neighborhood I lived in, two of my peers have been stabbed in the last month. I want to go somewhere where I don't have to worry about going outside and getting stabbed or beaten up by my fellow teenagers or other people.
Yeah.
And when I heard that, I was like, oh God, that's hard. That's horrific.
I don't think he's gonna have a sense of humor about living here, though.
Yeah, exactly. But it was just it was such a basic personal safety was one of the main reasons why he was thinking his life could be better here. And that was definitely. Then there were LA is dangerous. But that never entered into my mental
Yeah, but haven't you ever you walk down the street drunk? Not that ever happens to me.
Hey, purple donkey.
But
Yeah.
when you do that, I have no concern for my well-being, right? I know I'm going to be okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You do that in New York, in some areas, or Los Angeles, game over.
It's like the whole country's made out of nerve.
Yeah. Yeah. Feels good, to catch it. So what questions we got here? Come on. Bring out your worst. Who was riding in an unmarked patrol car? Got me. Visa, MasterCard.
I mean, I'm getting tired of explaining the concept of a visa to people.
Visa. Oh yeah, I saw that before. I think I kind of answered that one. I guess being a non-white foreigner was kind of tough, and just being a foreigner is tough. Hardest time. Okay, you probably talked about it. You know the 6-month blues?
Yeah.
Everybody, all the foreigners who come here, after 6 months, they get it.
The initial excitement wears
off, and you get everybody, about 90% get a little bit depressed.
Yeah.
And including me. And when you come to Japan, the 6-month blues hits, and then that's when you start learning the language and the culture, and you overcome it.
Or you leave. Yeah.
6 months sometimes happens sooner, like one day for some Western women who don't want to be here. But usually 6 months. That's a good question.
Craziest thing I've ever done. This is crazy. I'm stupid. On St. Patrick's Day, I think it was 2002, I drank one beer at every station on the Yamanote line one day. I think it's 26 beers.
Yeah.
From 10 a.m. to about 1:20 in the morning when the last train ran. No. Drank a beer. And it wasn't like the Halloween party. I wasn't going crazy or anything.
Yeah.
If you had seen me, you wouldn't have known. It was me, a Japanese bar owner, a good friend, and the Irish guy I lived with. But now I look back on that, I was like, Jesus, that was insane. That was crazy.
Well, I hitchhiked Japan. Spent a month, no money, took a tent, Well, the money to get to Wakkanai, which is the top where you can see Russia. There's a point in Japan where you can see Russia.
Yeah.
No money, just got cardboard boxes. People don't hitchhike like this. They have cardboard boxes. Wrote down the next place in really bad kanji. Maybe that's why people didn't stop as much. I held the sign up, and people took me. I never took me to the next place. Never feared anything because the country's so safe. Ended up
Yeah, you can still hitchhike here and not be worried about it.
Well, there's some people. One of them was I got picked up by a mafia yakuza guy in Okayama, Hiroshima, actually. But he turned out to be a nice guy.
Yeah.
He learned his English doing business with the military base in Hiroshima, so his English is really dirty, which is kind of cool. But that was pretty crazy, actually. I slept at interchanges and in strange people's houses.
It's weird though. I mean, we're about the same age. I'm kind of feeling like any of my big adventures are kind of done. It's depressing. It's depressing. I don't think I have the time or like inertia to like do stuff like that anymore.
It's rougher now.
Hitchhiking, I couldn't handle hitchhiking. I'm too spoiled now. It's like, oh, screw this. I'm getting a taxi. Like,
oh yeah, you get to that point.
Sometimes like I'll be in like Roppongi or like Azabu or something like that, Hiro, that area, and it's such a pain in the ass to go like take the subway to the JR, and the JR to it's like, oh, screw it, I'm taking a taxi. You know, I've gotten to that level now where it's like I don't have the money for it, but like I can't do it like anymore.
What reason did you have for drinking a beer at every single station? Was it?
There was no reason really.
Yeah, I think it's like a personal challenge.
And I had done it. I also did it in London on the Circle Line in London. That was easier. It was only 22 or 23 drinks.
That beer's a little stronger, isn't it? The ale.
Well,
at least it's pint size. I don't know.
In fairness, I drank half pints.
Oh, okay.
Which was humiliating. I had to like explain to him, no, I'm drinking one at every station.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, sure, dude.
Yeah. Let's see what else. What do you got? What else you guys got here? The flu shot. Really hard to get in Japan right now.
Yeah, they totally fucked that up.
Yeah, the new president's not going to declare a state of emergency here like we did in the States. You ever need a reason to drink? No. No reason to drink. Drinking is part of the culture here. It's how a lot of, actually, personally, professionally, a lot of my business and contracts and deals have been done while drinking, not in the business meetings.
But actually, though, the flu shot thing, that's another typical example of Japanese mentality. The new Prime Minister, Hatoyama, and like the health ministry, basically said, we can produce all the flu vaccines we need in country.
Yeah. And
we don't want flu vaccines from other countries. So what they did is they tried to make their own, and of course they couldn't make enough. Like they made a third of the amount they needed.
Right.
And now they're panicking and they're trying to buy all these flu medicines from like flu vaccines from foreign countries. But it was just like this, like distrust. Like I mean, if it's made in some other country, you know, obviously it'll give everybody HIV.
It's not going to be as good as the Japanese stuff.
Exactly. So they didn't do it, and now they're in a situation where like the public is outraged because they don't have, no one's getting the flu vaccines.
Yeah.
And they're like, why not? And they're like, well, we thought we'd do it ourselves. Yeah.
Didn't work. Well, how much is a flu vaccine in the U.S. or outside? You know how much it is in Tokyo?
Thank you. You got it. How much is I don't know.
I think it was like my flu vaccine in the U.S. has always been like $10, $12, right?
But you're on the national health insurance here.
In here, but actually, I haven't paid in 5 years my national health insurance. I get an old woman who knocks on the door. It's just out of principle. I have some principles.
I paid back about 3 years worth recently.
Wow, that must have been unfortunate.
That was it was about $2,000 or so.
Yeah.
But it was just like, it was such a weight off my shoulders when I did it.
Yeah.
It was so much better.
Oh, I'd love to.
I mean, I was pissed apart with the money, but I felt a lot better about, like, you know, my life after it was off my, like, it was always in the back of my head.
Free in the UK? Good God. Yeah, it's like $60 here, right? 5,800 yen, I think.
Really?
Yeah, for flu vaccination. So I'm just gonna wait till I go to Thailand, India, in December.
Fuck it, I'm not getting it.
Well, we wear masks in Japan, right? We don't need. It's socially okay to wear masks, but that's really fun. Yeah. Oh, actually, funny story. I got a small head. You had a small hair.
I have a small head. I have a pencil neck.
Pencil neck?
Which fortunately, because I have a small head, it's in proportion. If my head was much bigger, it would be really weird looking.
I got kind of a small, but I got a really small head. I can't find hats or glasses that fit my head size. When I wear the surgical mask or the Japanese go over my eyes. Looks like this. So I wear this bandito thing to prevent the
Well, that's not suspicious
swine
at all.
fever. Oh, well, I didn't think so
I think I
either.
know why you're getting stopped on the train.
So I wear this.
What are you, a gaucho?
I don't know. I thought it would look more stylish than a surgical mask, right? Now I know why Michael Jackson really loved it here. He always wore the surgical masks.
You look like a protester fleeing tear gas.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't find any my size. The children ones are even too big.
I totally had the idea to start painting like animal faces on the fronts of the masks. Then I saw some companies started doing it. I was like, damn it, that was my idea.
Yeah.
That was my get rich quick scheme.
Yeah, advertising on masks and stuff. That could be big. But people, for 25 years before coming to Japan, nobody pointed out that I had a small head. Now in Japan, it's a compliment to say how small your head is. Now, that's why I'm always coming so close to the screen, because I have this
Otherwise, it's
phobia, not a phobia,
it's
like
all a great
mental.
talk, you know?
Yeah, I don't want to be a mental case. I have to feel my head is big now. It's a compliment to say to Japanese that wow, your head is so small.
Yeah, the other one's
Because
like,
Japanese have watermelon heads.
oh, you have such a big nose.
Yeah, to have a long, big nose in Japan is sexy.
But it's kind of disturbing the first time someone leans over in the bar and says, wow, you have such a big nose. Very handsome.
Yeah, in the
And
US,
Japanese men have no qualms, including older men, about telling you you're handsome. It's really creepy. Have you had that?
yeah.
Like some 60-year-old Japanese drunk guy is like, you are very handsome.
Yeah, and then they ask me to go, let's take a bath, let's go to let's go to the
And
onsen.
it's not homosexual. It's not homosexual at all. It's just creepy.
It's creepy, very creepy. Yeah, definitely.
Your skin is very white.
Really? Is it? Yes, Japan. Oh, I'm not a creepy person. Okay, creepy. I thought it was a creepy place.
No, Japanese are very anti-body hair.
Yes.
If you are a hairy dude and you come here, I recommend waxing.
Yes.
Almost all Japanese women hate body hair.
Really? Yeah. Or some of them find it exotic.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ask for a receipt, but on the whole, the majority of Japanese women prefer clean-shaven, hairless men.
Yeah, you know the James Bond movie, Bird Never Make Nest in Bare Tree. You know what was that? You Only Live Twice, James Bond. In Japan, men come first, women come second. 1960 mentality.
Yeah.
Too bad I wasn't here then.
I've never waxed.
Yeah, actually I don't know if that's taboo, this pubic hair thing, that's really big. They pixelate the stuff on the porn here.
Yeah, there's no forest management in Japan.
Yeah. But then again, we all go to the onsen, the spas, where people walk around naked, and it's okay not to pixelate that. Figure.
Yeah. Reality is sadly not pixelated.
No, it's in 3D living color.
I've been to many onsen. I've been to many. What? I'm not recording anything. I don't know what the hell.
Onsen is that's a big hot topic. I had a big phobia after coming, living a life of.
Hold on a second, I have to refresh.
Okay.
For some reason, it's
Get out there and just have fun.
yeah. We'll be down here in the recorded video section.
Alright.
Sorry about that. Refresh. If you like. Refresh.
How many people we got on here right now? 58, yeah.
So as I was saying, I've been to many sento and onsen and taken many baths, and I think in my 8 years I've seen hundreds, maybe thousands of Japanese men's penises, and I can tell you that the rumors, like what they say about Japanese men's penises, it's true. It's absolutely true. Like I know you're thinking it too, but it's absolutely true. They do taste like green tea.
Oh, we're talking about teabaggers?
No, just
I don't know what he's talking about. Yeah.
I just steal that joke. That's
Okay.
somebody else's joke. I love that joke though.
Yeah, I'm a red-blooded steak man personally myself. Eat potatoes.
That's a great joke though. Um,
No, yeah, actually, well, are we getting totally off the wall in your face directness here? Where are we going?
or now.
Yeah, we go
Well,
now.
let's see what they want to know.
Let's see, what do you want to know? No,
Oh,
don't.
Dormant Duck, strict, semi-funny.
Oh, don't. I don't know that. Um, can't help you with that. Well, just to get off a really taboo subject, when somebody mentioned something about pubic hairs, people don't cut them here. I mean, you ever notice that?
No, there's no trimming.
No, there's no trimming. There's a jungle going on, and most of my girlfriends, I hope none of them watch. It's Jungle City, and there's the tea ceremony act of me cutting it for them. Which, how deep should I go? Deep. I shouldn't even use that word.
There's two slang words I'll share with you.
Okay.
Japanese guys, you might know them. Mount Fuji refers to like the hair kind of coming to a peak. So often Japanese guys I've talked to use that phrase
Mount Fuji
to refer to it. That it should be it's like they obsess about it, like it's beautiful, like the mountains, hair. And the second one is maguro.
Ah, yes.
Maguro. Maguro is tuna, but it means like a dead fish in bed.
The woman who just lays there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess you don't want to say something offensive.
So the terminology is different between the country, but essentially, men are people are disgusting in every country.
Yes. Men are. Oh, look, we've just gotten some more users now.
Talk about this stuff. Pubic hair. Oh my God, pubic hair.
Pubic hair. Well, yeah, I think it's been a problem with my girlfriends here in the past, and I have never found a runway, or teabags we call them. What do we call teabags in the U.S.? Are they teabags?
I don't know.
I don't even know.
I've forgotten so many, like I always am saying, like, how do we say that in English? That's scary that I have to use the phrase, how do we say that in English? Dong.
Dental floss is they call it college, right?
They call them teabag.
Because it has a T in the back. You're right.
Yeah.
None of the girls here wear it because it's
What?
Well, none of the girls I dated. I'm dating the wrong girls.
They're wrong girls.
Yeah, please contact me if you wear teabag. Please, limit only. The wrong idea. Yeah.
Teabagging we're aware of.
Yeah, I'm aware of, mostly because of the Prison Break series.
Yeah.
So I first learned about
That's a good series.
Yeah. Is that over?
Yeah.
It's because we just started DVD series 4 in Japanese video stores.
Yeah, it's done. Yeah. I just finished Battlestar Galactica.
I want to see it.
Watched all 4 seasons like in the course of a couple months. That was awesome.
Can you do that?
That was an awesome show.
I'm
so pissed it's over.
It's over?
It's over. 4 seasons done.
Oh, and you're gonna continue, right?
Nope.
Really?
Nope.
It's really popular.
They're doing a spin-off that's before this show was chronologically called Capricorn. It's coming out in spring.
I spent all last night watching Dexter.
I got from Society. I got the first 2 DVDs of Dexter, and it was all right, but
I relate to the character a little bit.
My problem is I didn't. I have a hard time following it because of him. I don't really like the character.
I like the character. I see the humor in what he does and the good. I see it as maybe I've lived here for a long time. I'm a different person these days. But I find it a little bit humorous, Dexter. I couldn't stop watching.
It's better than average, but
it's better than average. Excuse me,
I generally don't like crime shows.
Yeah. No. There are a lot of them. Yeah. Let's see. Season 2 kind of jumped oh, really? Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I heard John Lithgow was on there. Yeah, in the new season of Dexter, John Lithgow was the another serial killer. So.
I never got Third Rock from the Sun.
No, I never got that.
I never got it. It went on forever, and I don't think I ever laughed with watching it.
That just shows you John Lithgow's depth. goes from comedy to serial killer.
Actually, I'm letting you know. You guys won't care. Saturday, tomorrow, and Sunday, I'm taking a workshop with the producer of Everybody Loves Raymond.
Really?
She's in town for like a week. She's doing 2 writing workshops and an acting workshop. It's hella expensive. It's Yom End. But next Friday and Saturday, they still have spaces open.
Okay.
If you're at all interested.
Yeah, definitely.
David Chester.
No.
He's a guy team bartender. He's running,
Okay.
but it's like a 2-day workshop with like a real live American TV producer.
Wow.
I did it last year. It was really awesome. Hope it'll be good this year.
Yeah. Sounds good. But I can't
So I get to
pay my.
speak English all day tomorrow and Sunday. It's very exciting for me.
It's all English acting.
Yeah, it's all English.
Okay.
It's all.
So you,
Well, she's like an American producer.
Alright.
It's done specifically for like writer types living in Tokyo.
did Japanese come to this as well?
In the past, but like the ones I know who went are like they were raised abroad or they're bilingual
Okay.
media types.
That'd be really interesting. Maybe I could write it off for my company. That'd be good.
But I did it last year. It was fun. But it's like 40,000 yen is a bit steep.
Did you take away 40,000 yen worth from last one, you think?
No, last time I got my production company to pay for it. So I didn't pay for it.
Paying from out of your pocket.
Yeah. This time I had to pay
Pretty
for it
good,
myself.
aren't you?
Well, and actually, because I did the last one, there was a discount, 25,000. For if you did the one last year, there was a discount for this year. So, it's not bad.
Yeah, if I can write it off, maybe I'll join you. It's good. I love writing stuff up. That's the advantage of owning a company. You can write stuff off.
Yeah, I gotta get a company one of these days.
You should.
I should.
Yeah.
I should. Write off something.
Write off everything you want to.
Internet connection, I would write that off.
Write off?
No.
Internet, dinners. I write off all my my rent.
Buying computers, stuff like that.
My rent.
Or could I buy a camera?
Yeah. Because I pretty much live in my office because my studio is my living room. I've set up a blue screen and studio lights all in my house.
Yeah.
It's like Tom Green, Tom Green.
Exactly, yeah. You essentially are doing the same thing Tom Green is. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of, yeah, pretty much.
If I open a corporation though, our main focus would be building robots like the one in RoboCop.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be what my company would do. You know, we wouldn't have a lot of workers. And I've been on about this for a number of years now, but I want to hire an army of really strong transsexuals, like because they're like strong like dudes, but it like from a distance it's like I don't whatever they're an international group. It's like I think Gaddafi has like the all female bodyguards.
Really?
Yeah, he's got this whole group of like all female bodyguards. But I've seen them; they're really not hot. They're not like when I imagine like female bodyguards. It's different than like his female bodyguards.
It's like the girls who have the veil and the veil goes down. And
No, they're like camos, but they're just like they're all a little bit
tough women.
A little soft around the midsection, but they're not what I was thinking. I guess they're actually really good bodyguarding. But I was thinking like if you had dudes who just looked like women, then it's the perfect bodyguard. Right?
Right. It's hard to hide that Adam's apple, I heard.
And they're probably like all on meth and stuff, so they're a little bit crazy too. Like they could start some shit.
Yes.
When shit goes down, Because I'm gonna be the president of a company, I need a security detail.
Yeah.
Originally, I was thinking of like homeless veterans.
They got experience.
Yeah, and they're cheap. There's one thing.
They're cheap.
And I'm actually doing something. I'm giving them jobs, which is good.
Jobs, they get the 1,000-mile stare.
Yeah, exactly. But if I just like rolled up to like meetings, like if I came to the Tokyo Eye meeting with like 4 dudes like in camos, I was like, oh sorry, this is my guard detail, my entourage.
That's cool, man.
That immediately puts you up a level in the respect of your peers.
Oh, it does, especially in Japan.
Yeah.
It does.
That trumps like a brand bag any day.
Yeah.
I have a personal army.
Let's hire them. Yeah. Especially if they're female.
I gotta work out the budget still, and I think I had to declare the company first before I hired the bodyguards.
But starting a company in Japan, a scale 1 to 10 isn't.
Yeah.
It's not hard at all. Yeah. What else you got going? I gotta use the can. Use the loo.
Go for it.
Inside.
Inside.
I didn't buy any coffee actually. Is that okay?
You're with me.
I'm with you.
Okay, sorry, I meant to.
Any of you guys who work? No, I'm cool. Yeah, you want me more jumpy? I'm just gonna go to the loo, and I'll be right back.
We'll miss you.
Really?
Actually, both of us are going to be going fairly soon. I got to be out of here by like 2:50. I think he's about the same. So running out of time. Think of your last questions for John when he returns from the El Baño. Later, abuser. Later, encounters. Are there trolls? I hadn't even noticed. Burrito in Azerbaijan. What's the name of the shop? Junkadelic? Are you talking about Junkadelic in Azerbaijan? Frijoles. All right. Check it out. But I mean, as far as I know, the best burrito in Tokyo is at the Pink Cow in Shibuya. They have it's like their signature dish. It's man size. It's huge. It's the size of my torso. I usually can't even finish it. But it's an awesome burrito. How easy would it be to find a job in Japan if you have a bachelor's degree? Fairly easy. Fairly easy. It would be very. How easy would it be to get a job here if you have a bachelor's degree?
It's not that hard.
Yeah.
It depends what you. I guess it doesn't really matter.
There's always teaching jobs. There's always
teaching
They're
jobs.
always looking for like warm bodies.
Yeah, if you have a master's degree, it doesn't even matter what it is. Just that you have a master's, it's like ridiculously easy.
Yeah, you can pick and choose.
Yeah, it's like cutting hot butter with a cold knife.
I'm not sure how the recession has affected the job market, really, but the thing is, like, education in Japan at least is somewhat recession-proof. Because when people get laid off, they start using their savings to like retrain.
You said laid. Sorry, I just got back from the restroom.
They like retrain to like new skills for their next job, which is gonna be better than the one they got fired from.
Yes, that's true.
Whereas Americans just like buy a PlayStation, sit at home, eat chips, and cry, play video games.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that. I've been there.
Yeah. No, I think bachelors. Yeah.
Washing your hands is for the weak.
I did. They're kind of wet. I washed my hands. Thank you for that question.
I don't want to.
Yeah, I'm an Indian guy. You know, half of it. It'd be tough, man, especially on a hot day.
Actually, a real estate agent once told me that we're looking for an apartment for me, and some of the owners like, I don't want foreigners living in my building. And the real estate agent said, like, one of the reasons is,
I get that a lot.
like, they don't want like an Indian family to move into their house because the apartment will smell like curry for like years after they move out. And I was like, hey, come on, that's kind of true. Okay, yeah, I'll give you that.
Well, I think most of the Indian population, they're holed up in like 3 different areas. One of them is Ikebukuro.
Yes.
And the other one is Kasai and Fukushima.
Yeah.
On the other side where I live. So, yeah. I'm all for screwing the rules.
Oh, that's a tough one. Japanese curry versus Indian curry.
Please.
Oh.
It's like conflicting, you know. You got the Indian half and the other half, which is another.
I'll be honest, I like Japanese curry better, but I usually lie and say I prefer Indian curry when talking to Japanese people.
I see your strategy on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like stew and Japanese curry, you know. I think they're just 2 different separate entities. I don't think Japanese curry is really curry. And to me, it's like a stew.
Yeah.
Because Because they have like a sweet variety. I don't know.
But whenever I go to like India, though, I always get the butter chicken.
I love butter chicken.
Butter chicken. Oh, butter chicken. But like Great India, have you ever been to that place?
No, where's that?
It's a chain of, there's like five of them in India.
Okay.
But it's a chain of Indian restaurants. Like every time I go there, it seems like a good idea. But then like 2 hours later, Great India just has me on the floor and just kicking my ass. Great India is just like going to town on me. I mean,
it's hard to
never get the mutton curry.
Well, that's how you know. That's how you know it's authentic.
Exactly. Exactly. You're spending some quality bathroom time. It's a good curry.
It's a good curry. You know, it's good, especially for weight loss. People need weight loss. Trip to India will do it. Sweat it out. The rest you get paid out.
But it is. It's like the roll of the dice every time I go to like an Indian curry place here in Tokyo.
Yeah. But again, with all food in Japan, it is slightly Japanized.
Yeah.
They take like pasta becomes kind of.
Even butter chicken. I don't think that's really sold in India.
Yeah, actually, it depends. Yeah.
And the tandoori chicken here, it just looks like this unhealthy red colored like chicken bits.
Nuclear colored imported stuff that's been on a boat for ages. Well, curry could last for a while. Well, you know, technically the Europeans used curry to not enhance the flavor, but to mask the flavor of old meat. That's why Europeans used curry.
Exactly. The whole point of curry is that the meat, because it's such a hot area, meat goes bad very quickly.
Yeah.
So you just cover it in spice and you won't notice that it's rotten.
Which makes me wonder why curry is the #1 dish in London.
Nasty meat.
Yes, it is. Indian curry is the #1 food in London. Very interesting.
But then actually, it's a good point about Japan just in general. Like, Japanese people do not eat what people think they eat.
No.
Like, more than anything, they eat Chinese noodles, Indian curry, things like that.
Fried food is on the rise here.
Sushi is like a once every couple months thing.
It's expensive, and especially when the recession hit. I was surprised how much fried food and how much meat actually I eat here. I eat probably more meat, although the meat is better here than in the U.S.
It's more grizzly though. Japanese people like their fat.
Yeah, but I never seen this kind of the pink meat with all the fat in the middle of it. That's marble. I've never seen that kind of meat before I came to Japan. American beef is red. I thought that's what good beef was red, but then I learned that it's a different cow.
But Yoshinoya during the whole BSE scare just stopped selling Kibon because they could get beef from Australia.
Yeah.
But Australian beef,
Wagyu,
it's too lean.
and it's another breed. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Taste is wrong.
Yeah, I think Australian beef is grass fed.
Yeah.
Most American cows are grain fed.
Yeah.
So Americans have a slightly higher fat content than Australian cows. So Japanese people like it more.
Yeah, that's true. Australian meat, Aussie beef, right? Aussie beef.
The only thing I would say though is, I've thought about this a lot, like if there was like one type of food you had to eat for the rest of your life, I think I would go with Japanese over Indian or Chinese. Because I get tired of, if I had to eat like Indian food every day, I would get really tired of that.
Well, see,
Japanese food, I feel there's enough variety that...
Be careful there, because India is such a diverse country. There's the Kashmiri food, the Bengali food. The northern food is not as spicy.
No, you're wrong. They're all the same. They're all the same. Wrong. All people in India are exactly the same.
Really?
Yeah. There's no regional differences.
You look like people.
I've never gone there, but I've seen Apu in Simpsons, so I'm fairly sure about this.
Yes.
I'm fairly certain about this.
Not working at convenience stores late night, 24 hours.
That's all in Japan is Koreans who do that.
Yeah, the Koreans.
Korean students, Chinese students. Like anytime after midnight in the convenience store, just look at the name tag and
I can't even read what's on there.
Lee or Kwon or something like that.
Same everywhere, I think. It's the people.
What do Indian people do in Japan, generally? What's their business?
It's the English teaching.
No, IT you said, but there's something else.
Well, the Indian people who make it out of India are really bright. They're the brightest of the bright. They're the ones who ruin the curves at all the American universities, right?
Exactly.
Usually IT stuff is pretty much standard. into computers. They have a specialty. In order for foreigners to come here that are non-Western, non-English speakers, you need to have a specialty that.
Dormitories are car businesses. Actually, in Japan, it's the Pakistanis who run like used car businesses.
Really?
Yeah.
Ah, yeah, that's true. It's recycle shops as well.
Yeah, recycle shops are all
Pakistanis, Indian subcontinent area. I think they picked up on a market that the Japanese don't like old things, but now.
Yeah, but it's a growing market.
It is a very big growing. Look at Yahoo Auction. Yahoo Auction is the eBay in Japan because eBay couldn't cut it here. Yahoo Auction has created this thing where recycled stuff is now becoming good. So Pakistanis got that.
That's one of them very often.
Oh,
pretty guy, you.
Really? Is she pretty?
Yeah.
Ah.
Don't see that often.
Blue eyes. Like an attractor.
Don't see that every day.
Made my neck. Yeah.
All right, we got about 5 minutes.
5 minutes left. Okay.
Any last thoughts, questions, comments?
Last thoughts before we cut loose. Come on.
I have one question left for John here.
Yeah.
Don't leave!
Sorry, baby.
It's a statement more than a question right there.
Yeah.
But true, yeah, Shimizuza was awesome. I like to live there. That's a cool place. DPJ, I don't like as much.
DPJ. Now we're getting kind of boring.
DPJ, that's more than a 5-minute question.
Yeah, that's a whole nother show, man.
All right. Well, my question is, any final advice for someone who's about to move to Japan? Like a week later, they're going to move to Japan. What would you tell them before they get on the plane?
Wow.
Record this. So, your final advice: a week before a person gets on the plane to go to Japan, what would be your final words of wisdom to them as they set off for their new life in a foreign land?
Wow. I go back to my own personal experiences. Don't be afraid. Do whatever you can. Work as hard as you can to learn katakana and hiragana before you come. I think that's really big. I guess just prepare yourself, have an attitude, a positive attitude about it. A lot of people come over, they were forced to come over for their jobs. That's one reason why they're being rushed over here.
They came over under the impression it would be something it's not.
Yeah, they came over on the wrong. But again, whenever you travel abroad or live abroad, you have to have the big open mind. Yeah, you have to be, open everything. In terms of for men, bring condoms that fit. Okay, I'm just being honest here. The condoms here break, and there was one company. I'm not going to name them because I don't know. Maybe they'll be a sponsor to a show. They were porous, and apparently it created a Japanese boom in birth, which might have been coordinated with the government because they wanted more taxpayers. Japanese condoms are not the most effective, and they're kind of small and cut circulation. Bring your own condoms if you are forced to move to.
Anything else you pack? Deodorant.
Deodorant, get your Old Spice. They have deodorants coming more. Costco, if you're a member of Costco in the U.S., they also have 5 or 6 Costco's around, especially around Tokyo and Osaka. Pack shoes. New socks and new shoes. If your shoes are over 28 centimeters, you're going to have a tough 28, which is like 10 and a half in the U.S. You're going to have a tough time finding shoes, so bring lots of shoes. Food, if you like Reese's peanut butter cups, they don't exist here. But you can.
Oh man, I love those things.
I didn't like them as much, but it's when I couldn't.
More once you can't have them.
Yeah, once you can't have something anymore, you really want them.
Yeah.
But they've opened a Krispy Kreme up here. They've opened Starbucks
like
left and right. Yeah.
Yeah, because I can't have her. I want her so much more.
Yeah. But I think most things that you need, you can get in Tokyo these days. If you live in the countryside, definitely bring your own. Some foods that you just can't live without. Boy.
Yeah, but I think you're right though. It's the open mind thing. That's the biggest thing. That's death. If you come here with a closed mind, it's over.
Little gifts might help for the Japanese people. Bring like a postcard of your hometown.
Keychains.
Keychains, like really cheap, like $1 gifts from your your hometown, or
It's much the same as the philosophy of the Europeans who like bought Manhattan for some glass beads from the
yeah,
Romans. You know, a little thing like that is really means a lot to people there.
well, it's not. And I think with gift giving, it's not the gift that really matters,
So,
and it really does apply here because it's the fact that you have it's part of the culture. You have to do it. People feel that way,
yeah.
but at the same, it's just a token. So it's hard to explain. You gotta live here. But I recommend bringing a couple, maybe like 15 $1 type little trinket things to give to people. Bring a photo album of your family and your home life to explain to people.
I did that. Yeah, I need to condense like photo album of my whole life.
Yeah, cut dance because people really don't care that much about your life, but they'll be really polite and pretend like they do. So maybe 15 pictures of your favorite pictures. Keep the story short. People like me. Um, what else? Drugs. I wouldn't bring that. They're very, very strict, and I met a jackass who said he was having his friends in New York send him things through Federal Express. Got caught. Uh, there's no tolerance for drugs, especially for actors. You got Britney Spears; she goes into rehab, and people forgive her. There's no forgiveness for that stuff in Japan.
Yeah,
You do drugs, your career is over. Noriko, the biggest actress in Japan, got caught doing drugs.
She is now because they talk about it.
Yeah, but she was huge, and she is done. There's no Britney Spears rehab comeback for her. Same as Senkamu.
Yeah.
Bob Foreigner, who was really big here, got caught smoking marijuana in the park. I think his career is done. He was he was the biggest white guy in Japanese TV. So no tolerance.
Yeah, there's zero tolerance for that stuff. Also, like, I mean, generally, I would say try and respect local traditions. But at the same time, it doesn't mean like become a sycophantic Japanese worshiping like
Balance.
Yeah, I mean, there's a balance between who you are and what you believe and the local traditions and customs. You have to know when to go the Japanese way and when you can like push. It can be
Yeah.
who you are.
And that's, I think, if there's words that I would end on, it's balance. And I think that there are great things in the U.S. culture, or the U.K. culture, or everywhere else, and there are bad things, aspects. There's good things about the Japanese culture, and there are bad aspects. And I think if you take the good from all of them and balance them, you get utopia, man.
Yeah.
I think when you pack your suitcase, pack that in there too.
Wow, good words. Thank you, John, for stopping by.
I don't know, man.
Appreciate it. Thank you guys for stopping by the show, and I will be on next Friday. Stop by. Hopefully, I'll have a video before then as well. That would be awesome. I just had like a really long break.
Hiatus.
Hiatus. But that's yeah. I gotta keep nose to the grindstone.
Gotta keep it going.
All right, later, folks. We'll see you around, if not in Japan. I have to like type in the thing, and this is an awkward moment where I'm still here, and then I'm like, oh, I should say goodbye again. All right. Now, really, this is goodbye now.
Oh, is the camera still on? Oh, I shouldn't have said all this stuff.
Later.
That's John with an H.
Oh, wait. And you want to?
Oh, okay. I can plug here. I brought a DVD present for you. Here's my company. It's called Webless.
.co.jp.
Yeah, there's my plug. Facebook.com/Weblish as well. And yeah, if you got time, check it out.
Check it out.
That's what I do. What we do.
Weblish.co.jp.
Yeah, .co.jp. Facebook.
Sorry, Werblish.
Werblish.
That would be a good website too, though.
Actually,
You have to go register that.
Hey, I'm gonna get there before you.
Sick. All right, cool. Later, folks.